Hi guys, and welcome to We Are Perfectionists Webinar Live on YouTube. Now, please do me a favor right now. I want you to like this. I want you to obviously subscribe to this. And now I want to give you the opportunity to share this. I'm sharing with you, I'm sharing all the knowledge that I have through this pandemic. And while we were on lockdown, every Monday I promise to come to you and give you something new, give you a new skill to your toolbox. You know, so when we go back into the fight to kind of recover, that we have got an abundance of creativity. Now, today I wanted to teach you something about men's hairdressing. Now, I started as a men's hairdresser when I first got my box of clippers and a VHS video, and that was my education. Because the internet wasn't about back then, you know. So we had to research. We had to go to libraries. We had to go to all the things that we had, like such as the library. I don't know if any of you have been to a library, but we have this abundance of source of education. And this is one of your channels that you want to go to every time, because I've got videos that I've uploaded. Now, some of them are a little bit long, 3 hours, and I tend to talk a lot. But I like to talk. I like to share. It gives me energy, it gives me passion. Now, all you guys that are watching at home, I love you all. I know my team are on board. I want you to light up this chat today. I want you to talk to each other. Whilst you're watching me, I want you to ask each other questions, because you're all hairdressers in the same boat right now. And what I've learned over the last few days, or the last few weeks, is that how I'm feeling, we genuinely all feel the same. Don't you agree? When you ring your mate up and they go, yeah, I'm having a bit of a day. I'm having a bit of a day. That's how it's going. But, you know, it's up to you. Now, today we are going to talk you through men's hairdressing. It's slightly different to barbering, but you know, we all cut hair at the same time, and there's a little bit of a division between barbering and hairdressing. What is that? You know, one, is it speed? Is it knowing the confidence, the skin fading? Is it all that? But what I think is going to happen in this time is that all the men out there have quite got used to having a bit of a longer hair cut. You know, styling it different, playing with it different. You know, perhaps your girlfriend or your boyfriend's running their hands through your hair right now going, do you know what? I quite like it. So I think fashion changes, because when something happens within our economic state, things do change. You know, the birth of balayage was born out of 2008's financial crash, because people couldn't afford to have their hair done. So what they did was they grew their hair out, and the roots became longer. And then what they did is they just put a couple of foils in. That became a more expensive service. Now we haven't had a haircut. So all your clients out there have grown their hair. So when you go back, they're either going to go, right, I want it back to how it was. I want it fresh again. And then you've got to have the knowledge of how to attack that as good as you can in the time frame that you've been given. And so, you know, those 30-minute appointments, you know, I'll extend it to an hour. But I know this is bad and I shouldn't tell you this. In my company, I treat every client with 1 hour. Every client. No matter whether they've got Rapunzel hair, I run over by about an hour and a half, because it's all about the cut. I love the cut. Cut has to be precision. I have to. I spend so much time on someone's hair. It's unreal. Like, I can't let it go. I'm a perfectionist, and that's why I named my company that, because my clients would sit there and go, you're such a perfectionist. And that was rewarding for me, because I think a perfectionist should live in us all, because a perfectionist desires more, desires to be better than he was yesterday, desires to be better than he was last year, to progressively learn, or she learn. Now, I want to give you a golden ticket here. I want you to consider something. I want you to consider this. How about you consider to live in a beautiful state? And what I mean is a state of mind. Now, all my team there, you know that we live in a beautiful state, that when I'm down, the whole team can become down. And this is why the story of leadership comes into play, and you become your leader within your own world. But I want you to consider this. the most important decision that you make is to live in a beautiful state. Because pain and suffering is not where we should be. It's not our focus. Now, pain is very different to suffering. But if you can master the art of changing your state, and you've learned to live in a beautiful state, when you start to suffer, you can switch that off. Now, it's nature of the human mind to fear, to have anxiety, because it's a 2 million-year-old device or amazing thing that where it came from. I mean, it was getting chased by dinosaurs and stuff, you know. It was getting chased by these things, and it needed to be alert. And we're designed to be unhappy, but what if we can actually change that and, you know, go from suffering to living in a state which is so beautiful? And that's a want, that's a must, that's a need. You know, let's say, consider this. We live a short life, right? Now, what if you had 1 week to live? Would you worry yourself about those small, tiny bits, those small little things that just niggle you away? No, you wouldn't. You would choose to grasp your breath, to look at the beauty of the world, to be and look at a sunset, to be in that moment, to feel that moment, to feel the forest, to look at the greens, look at the browns, look at the blues, and just enjoy life and forget about all the worries. Because once you get there, you know, it's a beautiful place. And you can, I invite you to look at yourself and stop obsessing about other people. Obsessing whether those person's actions are not what you require. You change you. You know, just because people are acting in a certain way, we're all human, but don't let that bother you, that you do have that choice. I mean, I invite you to be joyful, passionate, loving, kind, curious, and you will rub off on everybody else, and everybody around you will be that person. If you do that, they do that, we all do that. I invite you to live in a beautiful state. Now, I'm going to talk you through a haircut. You ready? That's good. Now, I don't know who this is, but this guy here, I mean, he looks like, I don't know, there's a famous actor out there that I remember kind of watching one day, and I'm not sure what that film was, where they go away and they go on a man trip, and he just looks like a caveman. I mean, it looks slightly creepy, doesn't it? I mean, he's got a beard. These are from courtesy of Exalta. Yeah, he's a bit castaway, isn't he? And we all feel a bit castaway right now. We all feel a bit shaggy, a little bit outgrown. Maybe your roots are out there and you can't wait to get back to the salon. I can't wait to see my clients. Now I'm going to talk you through the process of how I cut my hair. So, you know, in times, hey, I cut my own hair. You know, mechanic fixes his own car, I fix my own hair. So I'm just going to wet this down. Now, I always make sure that hair is always wet down. I don't really cut much of the hair dry. It's never been a thing of mine to do dry haircuts. That became a thing a little while ago. And there is this conversation. Now, guys, how many of you kind of think, and I want you to write in the chat, how many of you guys think that we're going to be able to blow dry our clients? Now, we have to wash the hair. That's a must. I know that's a must. You have to wash the hair before you touch the hair. That's a definite. That's definitely happening. This is just water, by the way. I'm just putting a little bit of water by. I saved the plastics, and I'll use them as a refill bottle. It's a good tip, that. Now, this guy's hair has grown out through the pandemic massively. So he wants to go back to shorter very quicker. And usually these guys are having, you know, their hair cut every 2 to 3 weeks. Now they haven't had it cut for almost 3 months. You can imagine what they're feeling like. And women as well, you know, short-haired women, these are the ones that have suffered the most. You girls with long hair, it's mainly your colour that you're worried about and your split ends. But, you know. Right, so I'm going to talk you through the tools that you're going to need. First of all, you're going to need a few different combs. Now, the tools that you use dictate the outcome of your haircut. So this comb is a nice wide tooth comb here. You can actually affix your clipper guards on there. This is what a wall comb. And you can actually fix your clipper guards on there and cut to the clipper guard, but I would never do that. I would use the clipper. Now I'm only going to use the mini clipper today. But then I have my bigger comb. So the wider teeth, they slide through the hair nicer. And we're going to come to that when we're doing scissor over comb. We're going to hand cut this haircut because I think the skin fade is had its day. I think people are really used to doing, you know, nicer, longer dressed hair, more gentleman-like. And that's what I like to encourage. So we've got that big comb there. That slides through the hair nice and easily. It makes it scissor over combing a lot better. Then I'll refine it down with a smaller comb. But actually, that's my large comb. But I'll use the teeth there. Then I'll go to my smaller comb. And then sometimes I go to a barbering comb. But I find it quite fiddly to work with. You know, and we have this fear of cutting men's hair. So I want you to grab your fear and make it not a fear. Because when we don't fear something, we can be at our most creative. When we don't fear anything, we can be at our most creative. Now, I'm a bit of a procrastinator. I know I am. And I procrastinate about things again and again and again. And then at the last minute, I kick into gear. And then my madness comes in because there's a slight anxiety that pours in. But I use that anxiety to fuel me and fuel my goodness. Because I've managed to somehow turn those around. When I'm in that state of suffering, I can quickly just switch it. It's how quick you recover from something is the most important. Because we can be angry, we can be sad, and it's how quickly we can change that. That's what I like, and I do go off, so bear with me. I like to be motivational. I'm nice. You know, I'm just gonna have a little drink of water. Maybe too much coffee this morning. That's why I'm buzzing. All right. Can we have some comments out there? I can see your comments to the right of me. I've got my screen to the left of me. I've got my camera in front of me. I've got this, guys. Are you liking this? Are you sharing this? Because it's gonna go. I'm going off here. So, that's what I'm going to use. Now, I'm going to use my keto scissor. Now, this is a 5.5 offset handle. Loving this one. I've got my left-handed blade here as well, if I ever wanted to work left-handed or right-handed. And what you notice about a left and hand-righted scissor, some guys use a right-handed scissor in the left hand and vice versa. And it's all about the pressures of the blades because you see they're back to front. So if I hold them both the same way, you can see that all it is the top blades on the bottom blades on the top. And what that does just kind of guillotines a different way. So now I want to teach you guys how to really hold your scissor, first of all, before we get onto the man's haircut. And I just want you to kind of hold your scissor like this. So it just rests in your palm. And it just rests on that finger there. And then your little finger, pinky finger, finishes there. And then these two fingers are your stabilizers. Yeah? And you should be able to just hold your scissor just like this. And you should be loose enough that, you know, sometimes the blade can just drop open, but not just drop open all the time. So you've got a little notch on there. You should be able to tighten that up. Keep your scissors well oiled. Keep them nice and cleaned as well. And then you can just use your thumb. Now notice what I don't do with my thumb. I don't put my thumb inside the scissor finger. I don't shove it in. You know, I literally just hover it around the rim. And that gives me flexibility to change my wrist angle to whatever I want it to be cut at. You know, that and gives me the lightness with the blade. So do remember that. I'm going to bring out a new scissor today as well. One that we haven't used over the last 3 seminars because I rarely use it. But in men's hairdressing, I use the thinning scissor. Again, this is a nice Keto 50/50. And a 50-50 blade takes out 50% and leaves 50% behind. And you give these nice little snaps, but only use these in the most gentlest way. I never work through the top of the haircut with this because you can go in too deep. I'll show you how I texturize the top later as well. So we're going to do my haircut, remember that. So it's a little bit shorter. It's a little bit shorter, but it's a bit longer than a clipper cut. So that's what we're going to use today. And then we're going to use the Babyliss Pro rechargeable. This one here, Babyliss Pro. Now I'm going to drop all these links in at the bottom. I'm using Exfoliator head. I love those guys. They send you some great heads. And we are going to do a little competition letter. So this is the Babyliss mini clipper. Now I've used a wide head on there so I can get my teeth around it. They come with 2 different settings. Lovely smooth. You've got to take care of your equipment, guys. You've got to keep it sterilized now. So when you're sterilizing your equipment, it can take out all the oil quite quickly. So get a little drop of oil from a keto. You get a little scissor care kit come with your scissors. There was a winner last week, and she won a brand new pair of scissors that we're going to consult and see which ones are best for her. So here we go. I'm going to get my little clips. First of all, actually, I'm going to use my Osis Miracle 15. It's one of my favorite products. Now, we are going to have limited products that we're allowed to use. You're going to get your little collection of your favorites, and they're going to be on your unit. You're going to focus on maybe your top 10 products. And only focus on them, because you're going to have your own styling station set up just for you. You can't be kind of sharing products between people. That's not going to be allowed. So do have that in mind. There's a lot of things that we can make life a lot easier. And in fact, having my own set of products instead of dashing around the salon going, who's got the Miracle 15? Who's got that? Who's got the Oilatine? Who's got that? Do you know what I mean? I like to kind of scream and shout in my salon a lot and raise the temperature, but in the nicest way. The communication, the banter between me and my stylist is pretty good. I'm going to wet this down again a little bit more. It's drying out in here. I think it's hot in this room. I've got all these lights on, you see. Now, guys, if there's any of you that are interested in joining the online streaming or getting educated in there, watch a few of these. If you want any advice on the equipment that I've used and how I've done this, man, I'm happy to share with you. If any of you guys want to reach out to me and have a chat, I'm doing that. I phoned a lady yesterday. She's not a hairdresser. She's a chef. Her name is Jane. And I just felt a compelling feeling to give her a call. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's because I thought this woman needs a difference. She lives in a bit of a depressive state, and she doesn't know why. She has everything going for her. She's a lovely woman, lovely family, lovely husband, lovely daughter, does amazing things, great job. And she just gets a bit sad sometimes. But what I'm trying to tell her is that that's only a memory. The reason that you're getting like that is because of memories. It's because you've kind of almost hardwired yourself to feel like that. But you don't have to feel like that. You can unwire yourself, because what are we all built of? We're built of emotions and memories, aren't we? I mean, I learned something yesterday because somebody called me a lunatic. And I was like, I am a bit of a lunatic. I like being a bit of a lunatic. And the lunatic comes from a man that will travel and he wants to go to the moon. And that's one of his ticks. I'm a lunatic. You've got to be a lunatic to want to go to the moon and live in isolation and travel a world that you've never seen before and you don't know what's coming your way. Imagine the fear of that. Woo. So all I'm doing now with Jane, sorry, I get sidetracked. With Jane, I just gave her a few little techniques that she can work on, because now she's aware of her state of mind. She can change it. She's aware. And being aware means you're aware of your own problems. You're aware that you are not happy. You're aware that maybe you make other people unhappy. Maybe you're too aware that you're aware of everybody else other than what's actually really in front of you. You're aware that, what makes people happy. And you take that away from them. You shouldn't do that. Change yourself. You get me? Okay, so we're going to go for a nice high horseshoe. around the top of the right rhydal ridge. Now, the rhydal ridge is how I measure wigs and my men's hair pieces as well. And that's the widest point of the head. And when you're measuring that for a wig or anything like that, what I do is grab a ribbon, and I put the ribbon round the widest point of the head, which is just this circumference here. And then I will get that and then measure that unfolded. So I'll put it around, grip it to where it kind of meets, unwrap that, and give it there. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting this lovely little horseshoe off the top. This is the nice, easy way of, going through men's hair. It's easy, it's nice. Now, do forgive me if my sectioning isn't great, because I am concentrating on about 16 different things here. But, that's what we usually do in the salon. We're kind of used to concentrating on 16 different things in a consultation. It's where our subconscious comes over, and our subconscious creativity, which means the most to me, is, making sure that you're not worried about your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or, who said this on Facebook, or who said that on Instagram, or, I'm being told this and I'm told that. Don't worry about it. Don't let that get to you. You have a choice of how you react to things. We can't change the things that happen to us, but we can change the way we react about them and the way we think about them. And if you can learn on how to live in a beautiful state and how to live in a beautiful mind, your creativity will be amazing. I mean, some of the best times I've ever had is when I've got a wig and I'm creating something for, the Hairdressers Journals Awards. So I'm just going to clip that out the way. Obviously, you've got to be aware of the hair in the client's face, but this guy, he doesn't really kind of mind. He's all right with that. And just make sure that we're not going to pull that down. That's our top area, and that's the area we're going to cut last. Okay, so what I am going to do is teach you how now to really cut this hair off quite quickly. I do have more of a precise way that I cut hair when I'm given the time, but we aren't given the time right now. And every man's haircut, I always focus on the square shape, the most androgynous shape, the most corners, the most squareness. Men's hair doesn't like to be rounded, and it doesn't like to kind of be sculpted into a round. But we are working on a square shape, so we're going to be working with a flat back, flat sides, and then on the top we are going to go disconnected and triangular. Okay, so we're going to go for shorter sides, nice and flat. That's one thing you got to remember, is when you're cutting a man's haircut, you don't want to go too diamond, because you get too much weight here, and that builds up and it gives them a little bit of a puffy head. And you don't want to go in and curve round, because then it gives them a skinny head and circulates round. They want more of a square shape for the whole entire haircut, and subliminal corners. Now, I could teach you that, but I think that's a little bit far advanced. What I want to show you is the most simplest way of how we're going to do this now. So what I'm going to do is I really want to get rid of that hair underneath. So I'm going to bite-size down each bit. Now, usually what I would do is I would present with you is that I would section out down the back. Okay? And this is when I practice precision men's work. I would take a small section from the back. I would then hold my section nice and straight, and stand my body on a nice square. So remember what your feet do around the head, and where you move with hair and the way you move around your client dictates the outcome of the haircut. This is really reaching in, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of these factors, if you pay attention of all of these factors, you can produce the most beautiful work there is. Now, what we're going to do is that you can pull this out, and you can cut that nice and straight there. Okay, and that would then take it off. But do remember the head curves down, so that will give me some weight underneath. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch that up. And what I would do is I'd fill that down, then I'd move over with vertical lines all the way through. But I need to show you the quickest way of doing this. Now, today we are going to try and get this done within 2 hours rather than the 3. I know you want to spend more time with me, guys. So you guys talking amongst yourselves on the old chat, have you liked it? Have you shared it? You're liking and sharing, guys. I really appreciate this. You know, it took a lot to get here, to do this, and I really appreciate you guys that have come every single week, and every single week you've followed, okay? And every week you've come on board. So keep sharing. People can jump in and off when you feel like it. If you've got something else to do, that's fine as well. Yeah, and we'll be posting this back out later as a video edit. So you will be able to kind of watch little bits and pieces later if you do have to jump off, okay? There we go. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start from the outer edge and work inwards. I'm just going to hire him up for a minute. Okay. Now, I want to position his head slightly forward, just so I can get underneath that nape. So just as more, you know, and sometimes I treat this kind of haircut as how I would treat a lady's haircut. You know, there is no real kind of a gender identity within short hair. It's a lot of women have short hair and they like it lovely, crisp and tight. So it's exactly the same. We're all working on a sphere, you know, this maybe just different things change, such as the roundness or the triangleness or the squareness. But if you cut a square shape, it's always going to feel androgynous. So even when you're doing female models, you know, and they want, you know, like if you want that shoot that's kind of a little bit fierce, you put those little strong shapes in there, and it looks and feels different, subliminally different as well. And that's when you start noticing things. Okay, so I'm going to come through here. I am going to trim his beard down as well. So first of all, we're going to take a small section just at the side. Now, obviously, if they've got too much hair, you can just kind of clip it away. But I'm going to kind of work on here. Then I'm going to follow the shape of his head because I want it tucked in around the bottom edge. But I don't want it too short. So I'm going to come in here. And pull my section, and I'm going to keep my fingers really tight to the scalp, right down that edge. And I'm going to get my scissor. I'm going to cut down like this. Now, I don't worry too much about this hair being so accurate, because what's going to happen afterwards is that I'm going to scissor over comb this. So it's all about just getting the shape right. Get the shape. Get your, you know, it's like an ice sculptor will sculpt out, let's say he's doing an angel, he'll sculpt out the body, he'll sculpt out the blockness of the wings, and then he'll just go in with the detail. And that's what men's hair and short hair should be. Get the shape right when it's in its wet state, and then go back in afterwards and refine. Short hair takes a lot of refining. So I'm going to teach you a bit of scissor over combing today as well. So you can see that. Look, I'm just literally, now I've got my elbow out the way, so I'm going to keep it, try and keep it low. I'm using the finer teeth of the comb as well. Now you can cut overhand, palm to palm, or you can do palm to palm this way or palm to palm that way. This is kind of like knuckles forward or palm to palm, depending on which way you cut. I tend to cut in a dagger form with my scissors that way, because just turning my wrist, I've just not got used to that. That's all right. Now, in my ear, I've got the best tunes playing ever. I've just got a nice golden one coming on. What music are you listening to, guys, at the minute? What are you listening to? Let's have a look. What are you listening to? Tell everybody what you're listening to. So there we go. Now, I'm going to keep doing that. You can do that really nice and quick. So I'll do this nice and fast for you. And remember, this hair is like, he's now growing this out for like 8 months. And we do get men in for a restyle. Have you ever done a man's restyle and all of a sudden he changes? He metaphors into a different type of person. When you shave someone's hair off, they will change their personality. They will just make this kind of change. You know, they become stronger. When someone loves their hair, they feel happier. They feel more, you know, they're happier. Well, it depends whether you've done a nice haircut or not, to be fair. But you really know when you don't do a nice haircut, they feel rubbish. But you can empower somebody by the way you make them look, the way they feel. So I'm just going to carve that off. So, you know, I do love it when long-haired men come in and they come in for a restyle. And I always make sure that I capture that on camera as well, because the transformation is what people are looking for on social media. You know, they're not, there's been a lot of time where people have been looking at new things, you know, and do you know what one of the biggest new thing was? Watching a left-handed person cut hair. A left-handed person. It really obscured your mind, that you found it fascinating, that you liked that post so much that it went worldwide. It's quite surreal. So now we're going to spin it around. I'm going to show you on this direction. You see, you know, my sections aren't too tidy there, but, you know, it's about speed at the minute. And plus, you know, the precision doesn't really come in until you're scissor over combing. There we go, guys. All right, so let's get that focus back on. All right, so move that out of the way. Now we're going to come in nice. Now we've worked halfway over, and then we're going to work this way halfway back. And this is how I treat a crop on on a lady's hair. This is how I do it. So I'm going to get my fingers nice and tight up here, close to the head. Let me get that clip out of the way, because I'll dagger myself there. There we go. That'll be fine. Watch this. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to get then cut close, pull that, cut close. Now, some of you guys I know aren't hairdressers that are watching me. This is how you're going to cut your man's hair at home. I mean, I've seen some really good haircuts coming out of the kitchens of people that have never cut hair before in their life. I had a good friend of mine, he called me up and he went, "What do you think to this?" I was like, "What's that?" He went, "Mrs. just cut my hair." I said, "You're still talking?" You're still talking to each other? He went, yeah, it's brilliant. I love it. I said, "Well, does that mean you're not going to come back to me anymore?" And he went, "Absolutely not." He said that it took about 2.5 hours. I was a nervous wreck all the way through the whole haircut. And I can't wait to sit in your chair with the pure confidence that you give me when you're handling my haircut. You know, there was only one outcome. He didn't know the outcome. That's what makes them nervous. That's the power of consultation as well. You almost have to kind of set them straight away, and give them the confidence in your in the power of your consultation. That's your first kind of meeting with somebody, is really getting inside them. Now, most men, they don't know what they want. They're asking you. The reason they've come to a hairdresser is because they want something new. Rather than going to their barber, they want something new, so they come to a hairdresser. Yeah, and then when they come to a hairdresser, they're expecting the expertise of a hairdresser to make them look like the most famous celebrity out there. That's what they're looking for. You know, so you've got to kind of scan, have a good think about what you want to do. Now I'm just going to even that off. Now, this puts me in a lovely position now. Let me just get rid of these little bits. Just make sure I've got no loose hairs anywhere. Okay, so that's now tucked that into the nape. We're not going to worry about this too much until we've dried that, because we want to kind of blow dry it into the way it wants to naturally fall. Now we're going to step into our sides of our haircut, which is the most loveliest bit. This is where you either go really right or really wrong. Now I'm going to put him straight again. I'm going to get him into a position where I can cut him nicely at the nice height. And it's all about your height as well. So I'm going to go here. Okay, so we've got the top sectioned off. We're going to take vertical sections now. So we're going to come through, and they're going to be vertical, not diagonal, vertical, because we want to create the flatness. And what we're looking for is that flatness to roll off here. So we get the extension of length from a flatness there. So remember, it kind of goes into a curve. So if you imagine that's kind of curving, you always want your sections to be flatter, and you don't want to cut this bit at the top here. This bit must stay down and stay weighty, because if you roll that in, they look like an ice cream whip or an ice gem. Do you know what I mean? Where it goes in and then you just get this bit on top. So we don't want to be doing that. We want to kind of leave a nice little bit of heaviness around this area here. Yeah, you can see that little bit of heaviness around there and there. And that's going to kind of sculpt that lovely. And I'm just going to spray that back in. Work on one side, then the other. Don't leave the clips in too long in anybody's hair. If you can kind of work a little bit quicker, or just take them out, because they do set into the hair. This line will set in if I don't keep it wet. And that's always a bugger, because then you've got to wet the whole haircut down again. Okay, so remember, we've not worried about the back. The back is gone. So the less distance. So we're just going to pull him on nice and straight. Now I'm going to stand my body position in a fighter stance. So my left leg is forward, and I'm in that kind of like boxer's mode. Yeah, so I've got my kind of twist in there. I'm ready to attack this hair, and that's how I'm going to be. And I'm going to have my fingers like this against the head, like this. Yeah, so it's one way you can work like that. That's a little bit awkward, but I'm going to work like this. Now, depending on how I'm going to cut the hair, I will change these sections or the way I hold my hands to suit my need. You know, just now and again, I do put myself in an awkward position to get the haircut. So here, I'm going to go straight in, disconnect the beard, but I'm going to come in nice and close, nice and flat, nice and close. Now I'm going to get my scissor, I'm going to come straight down. Yeah, then I'm going to pull that beard in, and I'm going to pull it towards his ear. Okay, now I'm going to cut that down, and I do everything in smaller sections. I'm going to pull that out as well, and just keep that flat shape. Don't go with the curves of the face, don't go with the curves of the head. Keep the flat shape. Then I'm going to draw the beard back, all back, and over direct it all back to the ear. This is going to give me an extension of length there. You know, I've worked with a lot of celebrities over the years, and you know, the pressure of working with celebrities is very different to working with your clients. There is no mistake, because usually you're doing it for a film set or something like that, and then precision is at its need. And what I tend to do is I remember exactly where I was, you know, take a picture, and I know my movements around the head shape. I know how I want the outcome to be. I pre-visualize that outcome. And you can't change a celebrity's look as much as you can change your clients over and over again, because they're going to be in the press. And if you change it and they don't like it, or the public don't like it, that's a lot of pressure, because, you know, reputation is must. So you can see, look, even with that cut there, you see how it's graduated that. Now, come back into the sides, nice vertical section. Comb that back. Get your nice square on the front. Remember to stay square through that, and then cut down. Take another section directly behind that. Now I'm working like millimeter sections when I'm doing redesigns, because the more I can work off now, precisionally, it really helps my job. Now, you see when we come up to the top, it's directly out. So it's directly straight. So it's going from shorter to longer. You can see longer as it's starting to curve. And you'll really notice that. And keep working through. Section your hair off. Now I'm going to show you the other way, which would be this way. So have a look through your section. So this is the other way, look. But I kind of tend to find that I don't like cutting like this, because there's something just doesn't feel right when you're trying to kind of pull that out. But you all have your method, so it's either finding that way or that way, whichever you do not dip into that top. I'm actually going to take a small section out of that top, actually. I think my radial section's too high. Too low. And that's very important, how high or low you go on the top edge. How much hair is going to fall over. I'm going to do a little questions and answers at the end. So we just pull that out. Now make sure that you move in a square format. Okay, so make sure that you move in a complete line against the side of his head. Don't start stepping in or leaning in, because you'll ruin that squareness. Okay, so now I'm going to find my guide, which is just behind it. You see it there. Now there's so many ways of cutting. There's so many ways. There's an abundance of ways of cutting hair. And some people will say you're right, some people will say you're wrong, but do you know what? Do you know what means the most? Is the outcome. Is the client's happiness. Are you happy with your own work? You be your biggest critique. Always. Don't let someone else critique you, because you will critique yourself first. And being aware whether the hair looks good or not is another thing. You know, so you learn awareness whether a style looks good over time. And you'll find your wardrobe of styles over time. And that's only from learning and creating and doing and doing and doing. Okay, so guys, I want you now to write down obviously we've talked about goals. Are they realistic? I think one of your goals should be to take a picture of your hands for me. Now you're going to post this with a red circle. I want you to take a picture of the palms of your hands, because your hands are amazing. Without them, there's so many things that you are limited to. I want you to be grateful for having hands and not hooves. I know that sounds really weird, but I'm really grateful for my hands because they allow me to sculpt, create, and the information that I give the brain to make my hands do these things is, I love understanding how the neuro path works. I do this and that does that. And it's being aware, just having awareness. Now, I want you to take a picture of the palm of your hands. Now, this is going to sound mad, because it is mad. But do something mad. Take a picture of the palm of your hands, get someone else to do it. Then I want you to multiply this number, this equation. Now, we've done this for a little while. I'm going to do it today as well. I'm going to take a picture of my hands. And then you're going to work out how many years you've been cutting hair. And then you're going to work out whether you're a fully booked stylist or not a fully booked stylist. Yeah? Because if we averagely work about 48 hours a week, that's 48 services. All right? That's 48 services. Then all the times that you've practiced and played, or you've done home hair on top of that. Now I want you to think about that. So you're going to have to find this equation, this maths equation. So there is 52 weeks in a year, am I correct? Yeah, that's 48 times 52. Then times by the years that you've been cutting hair. Now some of you will be a very low number. I sit at 24,000 haircuts or services. That's blow dries. Any time I've touched someone's hair for 1 hour, and maybe the same client I've touched 3 times, in the same service. So now I'm working through here, and I want you to then go, my number is, and then this is me working towards a perfectionist. A red circle. Then put the red circle on there as well. You got that for me? Good, good. Okay, so now I'm continuing to work through. I'll give you a few different angles as I do this. So you can see that, like my body position. So I've shifted from here to here to here to here. So I'm just combing that out, finding my guide, where it is. Now remember, I'm not being too precious on precision here. Then I switch round because now I want to come into my angle and connect the bottom. So I go in like this. Then I come back up to my straight. Nice vertical sections. Now, this is where I feel like sometimes I need to change my angle and start changing my angle of my hands so I can just kind of stay behind him. It's only around here I usually do that. So I've learned the behavior patterns. I'm aware of my, where I need to be and what I change. Sometimes you can put yourself in such an awkward position. I remember getting told off, or, oh, you're not standing right, you're not standing right. Then they'd come over and then I'd do my own thing. I'd just do it anyway, like wait until the person educating me would go away, and I'd revert back to my old self. But then that's a test. If you are going to break the rules, are you being perfect? Or should you listen to what you're being taught? And take it on board. Right, so I'm using one finger against the head there just to brace myself. You notice that little finger against the head? And I'm pulling this out nice and straight to the side of the head. I'm not coming round the head. I'm not curving round. I'm coming straight off, like straight off. So that's straight and that's straight. And I'll keep doing that. And I'll show you why. And then I duck down into my bottom, just make sure that then I can get my graduation in there just by angling that last section into the underneath. And you see that's really forming quite a good shape there. Now we're going to come back in here. Now guys, I want you to get back on that, like and share. I want you to just take 2 seconds out for me, just to spread this around. I want my channel to grow. I want to continue to do this. So I want you to, if you haven't liked already, and just copy the link and just spread it in your groups. Spread it in your salon group quickly now. They can join in. They've missed all the waffle at the beginning. It's fine. Is it waffle or does it make sense? Does some of the stuff that I say to you, does it mean something? Does it trigger emotion for you? You know, also I want to know, are you watching on your mobile phone device? Just give me a yes if you give me a, are you watching on your mobile phone? How many yeses do I get? Are you watching on your mobile phone? Okay, are you watching? What? Joanne Boulding has 74,000. Joanne, I want you to take a picture of your beautiful hands, your beautiful creative hands. I mean, 74,000. Are you a machine? Are you 90? No, I know Joe. I want to put a special thank you out to Joe. Now, I didn't know Joe before this week. Joe, I reached out because I was having trouble with my online streaming. And I wanted to kind of do something a little bit different and try it differently. So I reached out to, if you've got shame on reaching out for a teacher, you'll never learn anything. It's so lovely to be taught. Even when you think you know everything, it's really nice to be, I love going to seminars still now and being taught by somebody else because I always pick up on the way they teach, the things they do, the things they do differently. And we can all get in our comfort zone, can't we? But anyway, I want to give a special thank you out to Joe because her husband is an online streamer. In lockdown, he obviously he adapted his path. So he went from a graphic designer, which he still will be, but most of his clients have shut down for a bit. And then he went on to online streaming on his gaming. That's something that he was passionate about. So he chose something that he was passionate about and he used it and he adapted. And it gave him this, he's in his man cave, he's on his mindset, and he can lose himself for a little bit and then come back to reality because we need those breaks from reality. So I give you that, Joe. You've got a great man there. We were speaking about their wedding the other day, and they had like a Bon Jovi tribute band, and they had a Beatles tribute band. And I'm going to sit there tonight or after this, and I'm going to relax and watch somebody else's fun. So I'm going to watch how they got married. I'd love to be married one day, I'd love to be married one day. I would. I would love to know that I could spend the rest of my life with the person that makes me happy. Okay, so now we've come around here. I'm still directing this over here. I'm still coming nice and straight. Look, you can see that. I'm pulling it right over here. I'm creating this corner. Yeah? I'm going to soften all these corners out later. So I'm just creating that corner, just there, look. I'm going to change the angle again so you can see that. And then I change my shape to go in to the base of the haircut. Just underneath the occipital bone, I want to just dip that in. So that's just really nicely cut off. You can see that's quite a nice shape as we work around there. And the idea is not to lose too much weight around here, remember that. Around the top edge, you want to kind of keep that a bit longer and come off squarer. I'm going to do exactly the same on the opposite side, but this time, let's have a look. You can follow me now. You can kind of predict my angles. I've taught you the angles now that you've got to do. Wet the hair down. Always cut the hair in a wet state. When you're cutting with the scissor, it works out a lot nicer. Sometimes I clipper with a wet clipper. Sometimes I clipper with a dry clipper. But mainly I do it with a dry clipper. Okay, now we're going to comb that back. And now you can see me attack a different angle. And you've got to be aware now. So you can see I would, come in here and cut like this. And I'll change this angle up a few times when I have to. But I'm standing behind the guest now, but I really want to get my straight angle. Straight off the head. Straight. And you see the hair is going to get a bit longer. Yeah? And come back in there. Now I'm going to do the beard. So I'm going to come back round this side. And you're going to see that now. Just so I can see the music. You can hear the music in my ear. I've got the music in my ear, and you can hear that from there. That's amazing. It's quite funny. I've got Mr. Daniel Thomas, my best friend and photographer, who's really helped me through keep a connection through my friendship circle here, and make this happen. So he's in my ear reading your questions out to me and replying, and he's playing me some music because I didn't want it in the background of the music on the mic. Remember, this is a straight line. So we've got people on laptops, on phones. Has anybody got me on a big screen? Has anybody got me on their big screen in their front room? Because that would be weird. You know, I did a TV series called Body Fixers. Have you ever seen Body Fixers, guys? Give me a thumbs up if you've seen Body Fixers. He's watching me on the big TV. I love it. Andrew, thank you so much, my man. Look at that. Look, I'm just pulling that backwards. Remember, this is just getting the bulk off, getting the shape. I've got quite a few guys with beards. You know, I've got guys who don't have any hair on the top of the head. They just come in for a little beard shape. Daniel Thomas is one of those. And you know what? That little bit of service that I give him in that chair is a moment with you and your mates. And that's what I love about this career, is that it's you looking after your mates. They become your friends, don't they? Your clients. You start loving your clients. They start loving you. I love it. I absolutely love my job. I love teaching. Absolutely love teaching. I'll tell you what, guys, if you get once you get into a different level where your creativity is amazing, teach. You'll be so rewarded. You know, I've got an educational company called We Are Perfectionists, which I started just before the pandemic. And I intend to be the #1 educator for you guys. I intend to be, that's my goal. I want to be one of the best teachers in the world. And whether it takes me 10 years, 50 years, I don't mind. Now, I'm going to come in like this way. I feel more comfortable showing you like this. So I need to make sure that, you know, like my fingers at the bottom are against my knuckles against the head here. I'm going to pull this out and make sure you got that length at the top. And when your fingers are against the head, you kind of almost, you know that it's the same length as the other side. Do you know what I mean? It is the same length as the other side. With men's haircut, you are working on millimeter perfection. So straight down. You notice that I do put my, hand right up. You can cut like this, nice and straight down, but I prefer to do it like this. And, we've all got our weird and wonderful ways of how we do stuff. Can you still hear the music, guys? Was it a bit too loud, Dan? Turn it down just a little touch. Just a little touch. That's better. Yeah, that's nice. All right. I have to, it was like the panic attack because some of the recordings that I was doing, they wasn't like they had sound in the background and YouTube was throwing it out and saying they don't like the copyright. A big shout out to Matt who gave me the music for the intro. Matt Hall, a really good friend of mine. Okay, so look, I'm coming through there, but every time I'm cutting something, I'm moving across my line. I'm moving back through my line. So a line, imaginary line around the head. Learning to hold your scissors. You younger guys that haven't really kind of cut hair now, that's some of my guys there as well. You got to, whilst you're here now, really learn how to hold your scissor in the hand and your comb and kind of get really free with that, palm in your hand. So you got palmy scissor. And all I do there, look, so it's I just drop it down like that. I'm going to show you one more time with the keto scissor. So you do that and then you drop it down and hold it like that. And then you've got these 3 fingers or two fingers and a thumb to kind of hold your comb, and you can really play around with that. If you can do that, just walking around your house, because when we start, we're like this, we're clumsy with our hands and we're trying to grab a section, and you'll all know this. You've all been there. Or even you with 74,000 haircuts. Remember that day where you used to hold your, and then put it down, and then hold, and then cut, and then put it down and pick it up. I mean, now you subconsciously do that. And that's what I like to teach, is let your subconsciously creativity get a hold of you. Okay, so we're in here. We're going to pull this out. Okay. Hello, Jane from yesterday. The lady we were speaking about, the beautiful Veen, who's made a choice to change her life, to change her outcome, to change how she is and interacts with people, because only 50% of her life did she morph into actually what she wants to be. And then the other 50%, she was confused of why she morphs into that person. And all she's got to do is change her state and live in a beautiful state. She's aware now, and she's aware that she wants to change it. And you can. I'm living proof. And I want to take you a little bit deeper into that. You know, I want to share some things with you. You know, some of you may know my story. And my story is a bloody brilliant one. And some of you may think it's a sad one, because it is sad. But I lost my father when I was 9 years old. He killed himself. And he was my best friend. I'd lost my best friend there. Would his choices change the outcome of my life? Definitely my youth. They would have definitely changed my youth. But he's built me. Now I can worry about that. I can get a depressive past and drag it with me, which I did do for many years. But now I don't. I'm at one with it. I'm okay with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, then later on in life, then my brother killed himself. I thought that was my destiny. So I made a conscious change. And I gradually got there. And I'm still working on it now. I'm not perfect. Nowhere near perfect. I still have my down days. But I'm working on it. Hairdressing saved my life because it gave me something to think about, something to encourage, something to drive, something to feel, something to go for. And that's why I'm probably successful. And I'm not embarrassed to saying that I am successful. I'm successful at this career because I've concentrated and I've believed in it and I've loved it and I've been passionate about it. And I've never worked a day in my life. It's been more about, you know, just success drives success. I build on success. That's all we have. Does that make sense? I love, you know, I listen to a lot of motivational music. A lot. So I'm just pulling this back in, cutting that down. So, Jane, you're going to try and cut your husband's hair later, watching this. Okay, so then we'll keep coming around. Remember to kind of draw that square shape, and we're drawing everything back. Like you would on a graduated bob, you work to the side of the head, you pull everything back. And what we're doing is looking for those corners. And then we duck in. Remember to duck in around the base because we want it kind of shorter to longer. You can leave a flatter neck, but it kind of builds out too much of a square at the back. I mean, that's a real kind of old school classic way of doing it. I'd love to show you that one day, but we need to do a longer course. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, guys, but I have my webinar or my personal courses up and available on We Are Perfectionists. Now, I'm charging only £75 per course, but it's a 4-day course. It's a 4-day grow your skill. And also within that, you can either look and learn, which is fine. We have 4 different more camera angles because I don't mind you seeing what's around me. So you can flip between each camera and see what I'm doing at the time. I also then will mentor you emotionally as well as creatively. I'll get that right. Sometimes I mix my words up. My brain thinks, oh, that's a good thing to tell somebody. I'm going to tell you something here. So I'm an extrovert talker. So, you know, whether you're introvert or extrovert. I'm an extrovert personality, so I'm out there, but I'm an extrovert talker as well. So I talk to think. I can think by myself, don't get me wrong, but I've always got thoughts in my mind. But when I talk, then I think about the next thing I'm going to say. I don't sit in my head, think, then talk. So sometimes I say the wrong things, and that's why I can go off in spirals and imaginary worlds. And that's why I can go into like Hannah's world. Do you know what I mean? I can just go off. I can find that little bit of peace. And I think that's a coping mechanism. I'm learning about that from my youth, where I was afraid and I was scared of my surroundings. So I found myself just disappearing into my own little Disneyland. But I didn't know that would be the creator of me. You know, I didn't know that would be the creation of my way of thinking. That, you know, my thought processes and my beliefs, my sheer beliefs for a better life than I had, gave me a better life. Because what we think about becomes us, because we manifest it. And I really think this. I really do believe that, you know, our thoughts become things. Our energies that we put out into the world get reflected back to us. So the more you can kind of put yourself into a different state of mind, try something new, put yourself in a fear of danger, do that. Do something that's totally out of your comfort zone. Okay, so let's choose somebody. Let's choose somebody in your life that you think, I'd like to be that person. Act like that person for 3 days. Like subconsciously act or consciously act like that person for 3 days. Whether they're the funniest person, the most joyful person. If you're miserable and you're grumpy, you're not having a good life. You're not having a great life, are you? Why would you want to live like that? Who wants to live like that? Nobody. Nobody said, I want to be grumpy and miserable for the rest of my life. Nobody. Other grumpy and miserable people will convince you of that because they're grumpy. I want to be the happiest guy. I want to live in an abundance of happiness and kindness. I want to eliminate. I choose to live a better life. You know, I'm 38 years old now. I'm not getting any younger. But what I am doing is I'm getting wiser. And those things that, you know, we all make really shitty choices. And we make those choices just on, we don't know why we make those choices, but we do make these shitty choices. And, you know, maybe if I hadn't made that choice, my life would be different. Right? But what are we doing there? We're dragging our past with us there. We're dragging up what we can't change. And we're letting that define us as a human being. We're letting that define our outcome as a human being, as, you know, the things that happened to us in the past that we can't change. Why would you do that? You know, why? So change that. You do have a choice to change that. Do we have Daryl on the line? See, me and my friends, you know, we've become very good friends, me and Daryl, and we talk about this because he wants a better life. I can see that. Otherwise, he would not be reaching out to every single hairdresser to be a better person. Now, he has an educational channel that he's just launched, and I'm very proud of him for doing that. Very proud of him. And do you know what he said to me last night? He sent me a text, and it was about 1 a.m. I was working all the way through the night to make sure that I could get enough people onto my seminar today. And, yeah. And they came, he said, Daniel, I'm proud of you. And this is a guy that, you know, I've mentored. And him saying, I'm proud of you, really kind of hit me. Someone else telling me they're proud of me. And I think we grow up in our lives wanting to make people proud, or we should do. So I'm just going to take all this off here. Watch this. I'm going to move all this hair over here. So there's our corner, okay? So now we've got all this excess here. So the last bit that we've got to do is now the back shape. So what I do is I come right down the middle. I choose my length differently, maybe to adjust the weight of this, whether there's a crown going in there, because you don't want to go too short there. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll come in, we'll just create a flatness there. So look, get that line. See that hair's longer and that's shorter. That's the aim of this. Okay, so we're going to pull that down. We're going to cut straight down. We'll just come down the middle. Now, sometimes you want to leave a little bit of leg room here. You want to leave a little bit of room in case you want to go shorter afterwards. You don't want to go too short straight away. Come straight through. Cut that in. Now I duck my knees here just to get back into this nape. Remember, look, angle in now. angle into that shorter length underneath. Take another vertical section, bam, next to that. Step over, pull this out. It's a lovely way of cutting hair. Like when I'm teaching my one-to-one classes, I take you through the absolute pure precision of this, and I get you to do things that are out of your comfort zone. So, you know, I get you to hold the hair in a different way, and there is specific ways of how to cut this haircut. You know, see, I'm going to change my angle again, pull it out, and cut. Duck down, pull it out. I've just changed the way I feel about my section and how I was going to hold the hair. There's so many different ways. You find yours. Now, pulling this back out as well. See? Pulling that straight back out. Now, I'm pulling all of that hair backwards, all of the back side, and just joining that into that back. You see, that's really lovely and sculpted. But what you've got there is you've got a build-up of weight. A little corner just sitting there. Just in there. You see it? There's a little corner there. Subliminally there. You don't know it's there, but you now know that haircut is going to be slightly more androgynous. So I'm just going to follow the other side. Just make sure that we've got a nice little length. Okay, so just a few sections here. The hair is starting to dry out, which I'm not too concerned about because I'm right near the end. Yeah, I'm going to take another little section, move that away. I find sectioning with wet hair a lot easier. So I'm going to pull that back out. Cut that off. Duck down. Just make sure I've got the blend between the top and the bottom. And this will give you a nice base if you did want to kind of, use the clipper afterwards. But I think this, sometimes you just need to go in with a clipper. Then I'm going to cross-check. I'm going to cross-check everything. So just checking for balance between the two sides. Just checking that that side feels nice as that side. And the shape's nice. That's looking nice. Now, one thing you don't want to do sometimes is cross-check when the hair has changed its wet state. You see that's wet. Now that's dry. Yeah, so I'm checking something that's not actually a reality there. So I have to kind of wet down the other side. And then once I've done it, so now I want to get in there and check that. That feels lovely. You notice that there's a weight there. Because what we're going to do is when we refine this, we're going to cut out the lower part of the haircut. Then I'm going to go through the back. I'm just going to check on a square. So I'm going to keep it square like this. And I'm just going to have just keep going up in my little levels up through the hair. So I'm going to scoop the hair, have a look, scoop the hair, and just look for evenness. Just look for any bits, little tiny bit there that I just wanted to take off. And I elevate it. I make sure it's elevated. I don't push the weight down into my fingers because you're going to create a line. I just elevate it up. See how that looks? Lovely. See this side? Just a tiny bit there. Nothing there. Oh, tiny bit there. And a tiny bit at the top there. That's going to sit lovely now once that's dried. But what you'll notice that the weight of the haircut is a little bit heavier here, here and here, so it gives you that square shape. Now you probably won't be able to see that on camera because of the density of the hair, but what I've got is I've got two little corners here. So when I scissor over comb, I'll just filter that out. But then that gives me a stronger form that way and a stronger form that way, giving me more of a male pattern haircut. And that's, it's the difference between cutting a woman's hair and cutting a man's hair. There isn't really that much difference, I think, sometimes. I think because I love short haircuts on women, and some of the women's haircuts now, I'm doing little fades around the edge and, coming in really nice and closely around this side, really underneath and then just levering it out. I could probably show you that on the next seminar. I'll do a short woman's haircut on the next seminar if you'd like that. Let me know if you'd like to know how to cut short women's hair, graduation. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move to my bigger comb. Okay, I'm going to section off literally right down the center of the head. Right down, and I'm going to remove that fringe out of the way like this. Okay. I'll move that out of the way. So now we've got the front section, just this bit, because this bit dictates a lot. And what you've got to notice is that if you rest the comb on the head, that the hair will always be longer here, shorter there, and longer there. So longer there, longer there. So you can see, like, if you curve the haircut, it'll be even. But if you just cut a straight line on top, you're obviously going to have a shorter section in the middle. So do be aware of that. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blend the side, the back of this side, into the top. So I'm going to take a small section that's slightly just with the curvature of the head. I'm going to comb that out. Now I'm going to pull that weight down onto my longest length, which we left at the top. So I'm going to do that by separating the hair a little bit. So I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to pull it directly out. I'm not going to pull it down because you get weight. So I'm going to pull it out, okay? So I'm going to pull this out like this onto that square shape. I'm going to cut across that line. Can you see that? Yeah, that's how I'm going to cut that. Now I'm just going to step to the side a little bit. And you can see that's still a straight line. Pull it out, elevate it out. Now you can cut this way if you want to. Then take another section. Now what we're going to do with each section is that we're not going to pull them to the same point. We're going to just rise it a little bit each time. So we're going to elevate from there. And this will get you an automatic blend. Look, see? So we'll just do the sides first and then we'll come into the back shape. Okay, now I'm just going to raise that a little bit more. It's going to be a little bit awkward for me because obviously he's a little bit high for me. Okay, so now we're raising again. This is raising and beveling the graduation. So we started there and we've just each section we've just raised up a little bit. You'll get a feel or a flow for it. And then cut that there. Just following your line. You see it's just sitting in lovely. Don't cut your corner off too much. You can do that later. Okay, another section. Now, this is where eventually I'll change my patterning of how I work, but I'll show you. Look, so now I'm just raising that section up again. Now, it's at this point, Joe, that you wish your husband, Simon, had hair, because you'd be cutting his hair right now, wouldn't you? Right, raise that up. See, we're getting a bit of elevation. That's going to create softness and roundness. Yeah, just a bit of softness. And just, I use YS Park combs. I don't know why I use those combs. They just kind of like feel good to me. I like the markers on the combs. I like the way they feel. I like the weight of it. I always use a white comb because then I know it's sterilized, it's clean. I don't use black stuff, black equipment. Probably just a brush that I've got is black, but I tend to use white stuff because then it's just a bit lighter and feels nicer in your hand, and plus you can kind of see you working for it, I guess. Find your color. Plus then where's my white comb in the salon? Emma, where's my comb? Emma, you've got my comb. I know you've got my comb. Right, so here, and what I'm going to do. It's just now, see I've changed my finger position because I've gone from here to here to here. And I'm going to cut that, look, like that. I'm going to pull that up. You see that there? I'm going to pull that up. We're nearly done, guys. Like once you get to the top section, it's nearly done. It's almost like, oh yeah, that's nice. So I'm going to pull that section over again. Just change my hand position round. Scoop that up, pull that nice and tight. Cut across your fingers there. How are you enjoying the webinar so far, guys? How are you enjoying the, is it good qualities? Does it feel nice? I'm really trying here for you guys, and I love doing these. Like I'm almost like I'm back in the salon with you. I'm bantering with you. He's not much good company. I mean, he could talk a little bit more, couldn't he? Come on, you want mate? Yeah, good, feeling good. I'm making you look good. Come on, look at what you turned up like. We'll do it before and after. Okay, so look, I changed my angle so we get another angle for you. If any of you are interested in doing webinars and helping this new kind of movement through the UK, it's massive in America. Webinars are massive in America, so it's going to filter here, and we're going to start doing that, especially now, in this kind of different weird time that everybody's online. So I'm just going to pull all that hair over just to kind of make sure that I've not missed a bit. There we go. All of that straight over there. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do, guys? The other side. Yeah. I'm going to do the other side. So I'm going to switch round. And switch round to this side. Get you a nice new angle. See if you can follow it again. Yeah. So there it is. Yeah. So, guys, do remember, I'm going to stay on and do a questions and answers at the end. We won't just directly finish. I will sign off because I want the recording to say goodbye, and then I'll stay for another section called questions and answers. Okay? And we're also going to, just after this, I'm going to take a 5-minute break, if that's okay. Right, so, because I need a whiz. I need a whiz. You ever done that where you're with a client and you're going, oh my God, I need to go, and your teeth start and you're like, I've got to go, but I can't leave her. I've got to go, but I can't leave her. It's worse when you need a poo. I bet you all sitting there going, oh my God, did he just say that? Did he say that? You know what? You've all been there. Where you twicking? Females and males, where you twitching? Don't tell me you're not. We all poo, we all shop, we all eat. We're all the same. Stop thinking you're different. You're not. We're all the same. Okay, so here we go. Top section. Ready? Out. Pull the weight. Find your line. Remember, it's a square line. Walk over. Pull the line. Square that off. Square that off. Lovely. Next section. Bam. Pull that in. Have you liked and shared for me, guys? Can you give it another share for me? Just do it. Just create some noise, guys. Just create some noise for me. Let me feel your energy. I'm a giver. I want you to give back. That's what it's all about. Some people say they don't give to receive. Yeah, right. Depends what you're thinking. I know what Emma's thinking. That's Emma Holmes, by the way. One of my top girls. I think she's online today with me. Is Jade there? Hi, Jade. Hi, Chloe. Hi, you guys that have moved over from my Zoom channel. Thank you so much for keep on coming in. So sometimes I get a bit emotional when I feel you there. It's quite surreal. I know it'll be exactly the same people as well. I really appreciate that. Let me be your teacher. I will teach you everything. I turn over just under short of £750,000 a year. I own my own building. I own it. I don't rent it. It's mine. I designed it. I won Salon Designer of the Year through 4 different trophies. I mean, I'm very proud of my business, but more proud of my salon team. Okay. I built this team because I created this team. I decided that I didn't want to live in stress, so I got rid of stress very quickly. Right, so I now need to come back in here and just join this. Now I do this way. And pull this way. I'll come back in here. I need that a bit shorter. This is time to tweak if you want it a bit shorter. Just want it a little bit shorter there. Just a little bit there. It's my right-hand man, Philippe, online. Philippe Seri. I've known this guy so many years. I love him. He's not probably come on. He's probably busy today. You're all going to be busy. I'm not going to be upset that some of you didn't make it or did make it. I concentrate on who did make it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there we go. That's lovely. Let me just check that. Let me just check that through. Check that through. Now, what we're going to have there is a beautiful blend that wherever you put that, it's just going to sit nice. But you've got this kind of like nice little bit of squareness to it. Remember, we're going to remove this weight at the bottom. Now, what I want to do is come through with a nice clean section. I'm getting all tangled here. I'm going to put this nice to the front now. I'm going to up him, so you can see that. So we're going to come straight through here. I'm going to do a couple of cuts in this angle, and then I'm going to move it to the right angle so you can see. We're nearly at the end, guys, nearly at the end of this haircut, and then we'll go into refining. Plus, I need to sort out the front of his beard as well, just to make sure he looks wicked. What we do is when we come back from our break, now when we go on a break, I'm going to show you the advert that I've put together for my Courage in Cutting course. Now, it's 4 days and it's £250, and I can get the doll's heads out to you at £35 each. That's not a problem. And you can cut those 2 doll's heads with me. You can spend that time with me. Whether there's 5 of you, I'm happy. Whether there's 10 of you, I'm happy. Whether there's 3 of you, I'm happy. I will just work with all 3 of you. You know, it's just, I want to do it, and I want to see if I can do it really well. So now, again, I'm going to switch to my bigger comb. And what I'm going to talk about in there is really break down a lot of theory of how we cut hair, how we think about hair, and our creativity in hair. And then I'm going to teach you triangular graduation, horizontal graduation, the perfect bobs. Okay, that's first of all, that's what I'm going to teach you, the perfect bobs. How to nail that. You know, when I do that, the outcome is that. When I do that, the outcome is that. And I teach you the difference between the two looks as well. And when to do it, when not to do it is most important. Then we work on, just a new layering system. And then we work into really classic short haircuts and how to build them as well. So we kind of almost take the hair journey from medium to shorter to shorter. I say 4 looks. I actually teach you about 10 in this course because each one adapts into the next one. Just taking a little section right down the middle, about 1 centimeter. Okay, comb that out. There you go. So this is how I cut my haircut. Now, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to elevate that, just remove a bit of that hair, but give it a twist out of the way. Now I'm going to find my little section where my joining section is on the top. Okay, so I want to just go find my section of where it starts to get longer. And I'm going to take out a little bit of the previous haircut because you imagine where I've cut that like that and I've cut like that, what you've got then is a triangle. So what I'm doing is flattening that triangle out there now. Okay, so I'm going to cut. I'm just going to find my length now. Because I've curled that up, I'm going to take a little bit out, give another little curl so it stays in its own section. I'm going to look nice and straight through it and cut. Nice and straight up and through there. I'm also going to do a post-COVID, guess where I got that idea from, cutting seminar that teaches you how to remodel your haircuts to each guest quicker because they're all going to be grown out or adapt. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm just going to take another section just to the left of it, just a small one. I'm going to show you this on a side view now. Okay, you see that how square that is? It's pretty square. And it's just working on these shapes that I love and desire, I love them. And basically when we do the refining now, so I'm not going to over direct that. I'm just going to come straight up. You can see the previous haircut underneath there. You see it there? That's just taking that little bit off there now. And that's taking that triangle section out. And we're going to elevate this. We're going to pull it up. Look at my guide. Make sure that I'm not pulling over or pushing forward. It's just coming up from where it wants to come up. There, like that. See it? Come back here. Remember, this is going to be texturized. Take another straight section. Get rid of your previous sections so you don't get confused from that. And just keep a little bit of nip of the guide in there. Come back to the back side here. Yeah. Find your guide. Find your guide. I've lost my guide. I've lost my guide. There it is. There it is. Don't ever lose your guide and then try and cut the hair. If you go off piece because you found a new guide, you should be cross-checking. I mean, I've got to a level where I don't really need to cross-check a massive amount, but the more you pay attention at your beginning of your career, the better hairdresser you'll be subliminally. Your outcomes will just be naturally good. 74,000 haircuts, Joe. Has anybody else got a number? Did anybody else put their number up yet? Okay, there we go. Look at that. Ready? That's my final section there. And what I'm going to show you then is the outcome of what that's give us, okay? So I'm just coming straight over. Now, if you're in doubt that they're receding or anything like that, you just kind of nip a little bit out, okay? Just take a little section out. I'm going to do that again on exactly the opposite side. But what I tend to do, I couldn't show you that because this side, I still cut from shorter to longer. rather than turning it around and going from front to back. I kind of always try and, just double check myself. Am I going to get a better outcome by cutting from shorter to longer? Well, of course I am, because then I'm not guessing at it. But you could change it around because you have got the guide there. It's not a problem if you needed to. But I tend to just stay on one side when I do this. You see, notice that the shorter hair and the hair is longer. I mean, look at the length of this hair. Okay, that comes to about there. Now look at the length of this hair. It's a good inch shorter, really good inch shorter. I'm going to keep that pace up. When I'm doing, I entered my men's into the awards, my men's collection that I shot with Dan Thomas, and I put 2 men in each picture and created a story. I love men's hairdressing. I'm not a barber. I'm a hairdresser that cut men's hair as well. I don't really kind of identify the difference. The difference between a hairdresser and a barber is that a barber doesn't do women's hair. Or he does do short women's hair. There are females that visit a barber's, absolutely, because they know they're going to get that precision haircut that they like. But 9 times out of 10, a hairdresser is a person that looks after people. It kind of has a set of skills. I know some people don't do men's hairdressing. Is anybody afraid of men's hairdressing? Now, if you're afraid of that, I can see some of you afraid of men's hair. But learn it, do it, conquer your fears, because what you learn on a man's haircut, you can then transfer onto a woman's haircut. Okay, now I'm going to pull this up. Cut that. I mean, this is such a nice way of restyling a man's haircut if they've come in from longer to shorter. I'm just going to double check that. Okay, so now we should be about right. There we go. There you go. It's done. So now what you're going to notice, you've got 2 overhangs here. Okay, that's 2 disconnected pieces. So what I do now is I'll come in and I'll just pull this slightly back to behind the ear and cut that off there. Then I'll take the next section just and draw it all the way back to about here. Now, depending on how much overhang, I like a lot of overhang on my haircut. Look, I like that. It's totally disconnected because when I push it back, it sweeps back. Okay, so I like a nice little bit of an overhang, and that's that kind of that Peaky Blinders sort of look that came massively in fashion. Yeah. Now, a lot of you are saying that you're afraid of skin fades. That's just because you haven't done them. Isn't it really? If you'd done a few more, would you think you'd be afraid of it? It's because you haven't done it. And you should do it. Why not? It's practice on your friends first that don't mind. Have a mentor with you. Once you've done 3, that's all it is. Remember that. 3. If you want to be something different, do it for 3 days. If you want to be something different, do it for 3 days, but subconsciously do it. Book yourself up with gents. Just do it. Book yourself up with gent after gent after gent after gent after gent, and get quicker and faster, and you'll start enjoying what you can do with men's hair. Because what you enjoy with a man's haircut, you can enjoy with a woman's haircut. Now, the reason that you're kind of afraid of it is because there's someone out there that's a little bit better at it, and that's called a barber. Well, if you imagine they do that 12 times a day. They do the same haircut 12 times a day. Now, how would you feel about that? The same haircut 12 times a day. Oh, another skin fade, another skin fade. With a hairdresser, we have a variety. I know a lot of barbers that would never want to be a hairdresser, and I know a lot of hairdressers that will never want to be a barber. But equally, we share the same tools, we share the same kind of visions, we share the same kind of ethos. In a barber shop, which I used to work in, it was a different conversation, very different. Just going to take a bit of that beard off. It was a very, 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 very different conversation. So I'm just going to come underneath here and just square this off, or get a little bit more of a triangle shape, come underneath. I always do men's eyebrows as well. I always get the comb, do that, and just clip off the long ones. They love that. When they come to the salon and you're, taking the hair out of their ears, taking the hair off of their face, they like the whole service, but do charge for it. Now, what I'm doing is I'll come to each side and I'll cut away with the beard. I'll come away and I'll cut and I'll keep coming. And then I want this kind of triangular shape. Yeah, so you can get it between your fingers if you wanted to kind of pull it down. Just come underneath. This is probably above your pay grade. It's above mine, but I do enjoy doing them sometimes. But, I care about someone's beard as much as I care about their hair. So I end up running behind whenever a man comes in for a beard. Now, watch this. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to cause a straight line across here. So I'm going to elevate here. I'm going to cut, elevate, and cut away. I'm going to leave him with a little bit of a longer beard. I'll perhaps do a little demonstration on how to cut a shorter beard, and I'll post this video up. So please kind of hit the notifications on there. So if I ever kind of upload a video, you can that I've uploaded it and I've worked on it. I do some inspirational videos as well, and they're not because I'm trying to be someone else. These videos help me understand me. It's understanding. It's not sometimes understanding who I am. It's understanding who I am not. I am not that person. I am not that. So it's not understanding who you are. Sometimes it's most important is understanding who you are not. You work on that. Okay, I've got to elevate this up at the front. Just round that in a little bit more. That would be nice. You see that will go shorter to longer. Practice these things. Right, ready? Look. So if I elevate that around the front now, okay, pull that up and shorter, and that will go longer to shorter because you're over directing massively. You're pulling up and you're going to get over direction. Once you start understanding over direction, now I'm going to come around the front and I'm going to take that little bit out of the front, and now that's nice and balanced, nice and even. That's going to look awesome. Okay, guys. Now, I'm going to leave the screen running for a few minutes. Okay. And I'm going to go to a nice little break. I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you the art, the true art of scissor over comb. And it shouldn't take too long to make this guy. I'm going to start blow drying him, obviously. I'm going to blow dry him into the style that I want him to have. And then I'm going to show you the refinement. This is the most important part of the haircut, is understanding how to use the different combs and the different scissors to get this, and obviously then integrating the clipper. So what I'm going to teach you next is really paramount to really, having a really creative journey with a gent's haircut and teaching you the importance of that. So I'm just going to leave you on a screen. I haven't gone I have gone somewhere. I'm just going to I'll leave you on here. Now, whilst with these 5 minutes, okay, guys, why we got these 5 minutes, I say 5-10 minutes, let's go 5-10 minutes. I would love you, please share it to at least 10 friends so they can watch the second half, and put in there, watch the second half where Daniel refines his Manny. We'll call him Manny. He's from Malta. Manny. We're going to refine that. We're going to shape it. We're going to crystallize it. We're going to precision it. So please share it. So just push that share button there. Bam. Send it over to someone else. Let's see if we can get some more people on board as well, just for the final bit. If we do that for me. There we go. We're back on. Don't lose me off now. Okay. So we've got some new members on board. Hi, guys. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming along for the second half of my webinar. Please like, share, subscribe. All of these things I'm learning to do. I want to build my channel. I'm going to continue to do this for the ongoing future. Yeah. So, okay. So we're back on board. Okay. So now I'm going to teach you to blow dry. Okay. So how to blow dry a nice men's classic look. So what we're going to do, using a vent brush, and this allows the hair to run freely through the brush nice and easy. I like to work with my kind of like little vent brushes or my Denmans. So I'm going to blow dry that beard in as well. And make sure that's nice and smooth. Then, now I'm going to come into my sides. I'm going to move the top out of the way. Move that out of the way. Just give that a little blow dry up there. Just get a little bit of freedom on there. Then, I'm going to come into the sides of the haircut and really push that hair down. You know, push that hair in the position that I want it to go. Push it down. Follow the shape of the head with the air. And the brush. Keep smoothing that down. Now guys, we're going to do a questions and answers at the end. We're definitely going to do a questions and answers. I'm going to stay behind. I will sign off because it helps with the edit of the video afterwards when I upload it later so you can watch it back. We're going to cut them down into little sections. So the first part will be, you know, what we spoke about at the beginning, and then we'll get into the haircut. And we'll probably speed the haircut up about as well. So now, look, what I'm doing is I'm just really kind of moving the hair to where I want it to go, using the brush. Now I'm allowing the brush to have the space in between, and this is a very soft brush as well, so it doesn't hurt the head. And I'm really directing that air right nice and down. Getting this doll's head, you know, you've got to treat them slightly differently because they like to, you know, kind of misbehave. You can see that's a lovely shape already, and it's not even refined yet. Okay, so we're going to just keep doing that. Keep pushing that down. Keep moving it left and right. Keep pushing it down. Keep pushing it down. Just keep pushing that, like get that nice and down. You don't want too much big hair. Men don't like too much of a bouffon. You know, just kind of drying the shape in this. This is going to allow you to scissor over comb lovely. I'm going to show you the products that I'm going to use and how to use those afterwards as well. Now I'm going to come into the top. I'm going to start building from the back. Yeah, so I'm going to start building that haircut from the back and just pushing it into shape. Now, if you wanted to kind of a little bit more of a side parting like mine, I would start blow drying that in now, if you wanted to. So just kind of build your shape. So don't go from the front and try and work all your way back. Work from the back and build your story. So you're going to build your haircut. Okay? You're going to build your haircut. Build it like this. So you start adding pieces in as you're blow drying back, like that. Just keep doing that from left to right. And then you can go into your front of your haircut. And now, if you have a problem with the haircut coming back too much, like a slope, like this, you know, when you blow dried it and you just put all the pressure on the front like that, and then I end up with that. What you got to do is you got to blow dry down the weight first. Get the angle of the root first, like that. Yeah, so spray, like kind of put the hot air in there, like that, side to side, and then go backwards, and you'll create a natural bit of volume. You don't need natural bits of volume on this hair. This hair has all the volume that you'd ever want. It's just the way the stitch of this hair is done. You see you're getting that little floppy edge that's coming over like my haircut. Not that I wanted to teach you my haircut, but that's what everybody was requesting. How do you get your haircut? I used to cut my own hair all the time when I had a long mullet. The days of the mullets. I know. Some of you youngsters haven't witnessed the mullet, but it's coming. You know, things like that are coming back. You might even see more after this pandemic. Okay, so now I'm brushing that through. Now, what I want to do, yeah, is now I want to get to my other brush, which has a bit more of a curve to it. And I want to just kind of scoop that in and just do that. Like, just scoop it in and use the bend of the brush to get a bit of bend on that front hair so it's not so straight. Yeah, so I'm just kind of hooking that back and then brush it back. Brush it back. Brush it back. And now I'm going to start kind of forcing my parting in. Which way shall we go? I'm going to go to the opposite way of me. So I'm like almost looking in a mirror image. Okay. Now I've got the stronger brush on there, so I'm going to get more tension on the hair. I'm going to start blow drying that in. So more tension, more pull, more straightness. Now the different brushes that you use really plays a massive different outcome on the hairstyle and the way it sits. So if you use a vent brush, it's going to be a lot looser. You know, the hair's not going to be so straight. But then if you like use another brush just to get everything in line, give it a little bit more stretch because the teeth are tighter. So knowing what brush to use is very important. Knowing what brush to use and when to use it is very important. You know, it's like everybody's in the myth that the bigger the brush, the bigger the hair. Well, that's not true. The smaller brush gives you the bigger hair. There we go, we're nearly there. Now I'm going to leave that nice and loose. I'm going to get that crown down. Always be aware of crowns. No man on the face of this planet likes a sticky up crown. There we go. Now that's in its dry state, okay? So we can see that, it's looking really nice, looking lovely, looking sexy. You can see that, it's just coming over there. Now, the art of refinement. So, the best way to do this is I start at the back of the haircut, okay? So I'm going to show you this in great detail, okay? So, I put the head forward and away from me so I can get underneath the haircut and start working under there. Now, what I am going to use is the clipper now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just come underneath here like this, scoop the hair up so it sits on the base of the comb there. I'm going to start lower. I'm going to start on the neckline here. Yeah, I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to then tilt my comb out and drag the comb across. Tilt your comb out. And when I say tilt your comb out, so that's flat to the head. I'm almost like creating a 45-degree angle around the bottom, so it goes longer from shorter to longer, building up that like really refined graduation. And you'll see this haircut really come alive now. Yeah, so but I'm using the wide tooth comb. Why am I using that? Because the hair will flow through a lot easier when I'm doing that. Look, now I'm going with the angle at the side, so I'll get the client to hold the ear forward. Hold your ear forward so you can get right nice in there and nice and deep. Okay, and then you scoop that off. Scoop that off. Now, any of you that are going into hairdressing later, I applaud you because, you know, you've made a conscious change to do something that excites you. You know, you made that change, and I think, you know, you can be an older hairdresser and still get somewhere. The biggest problem that I find is that you find it difficult to get in a salon. You know, you find it hard to get that education because for some reason the educational system only wants to teach the youth of today. And sometimes the youth of today just fall into a job, and the idea of the fall, you know, what is that? The idea, I fell into hairdressing. Oh, I just fell into hairdressing. You don't fall, you know. It's the idea of the fall, but it's not, is it the creation? You know, we kind of forget that. We chose, you had a choice to do that. And you see that's what really just neaten that up. Really nice. So again, hold your ear forward. Choose the angle. In, tilt out. You're never going to go shorter than the comb. And that's why I like to use a big comb to do this kind of like little bit more refinement, because what I tend to find is that it allows me to have safety and not, you know, not slip with the clipper, not slip at all with the clipper. I'm like, this is almost like a guard. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to go shorter than that. Now I'm going to clip up this little section here. So this section that I usually have as an overhang, I'm going to just clip that out of the way for a second so I can work on the internalness of that haircut. So I'm just going to put him up nice and straight again, but just tilt him over a little bit to that way so I can still get underneath and get in. Now, what I'm going to do here is keep that nice and straight like that and just work that hair off like that. Yeah, so I'm now integrating the beard as well. And I'm just tilting that in. Yeah, so just like, you see me tilting off the head? You're not going to go wrong here, guys. Obviously, he's held his ear down by this point, and that's so you can work really around the ear. Get the client to hold their own ear. You know, it feels a lot more kind of comfortable. Whilst I'm around here, I'm going to push this back and forward. There's two things that I'm going to do there. Yeah, but I'm going to show you that once I've got a smaller comb. But really, what I would be doing here is just really kind of like, if you want the beard to be a little bit longer, you pull it and then you pull it up. You kind of overextend it like that. So you pull it up. Yeah. Now we're going to do the other side. I'm going to do the other side here. I'm going to tilt him over again. And I always tilt my guests away from me so I can get underneath their haircut. That's a good tip, that is. I'm going to take that clip out around there so that doesn't kind of hold in. I'm going to push that hair back. So, you know, if any of you want to get into hairdressing a bit later, I do take on people, but I have to see a right passion, a right need. And most of the time I make you guys work for free. And that's, you know, how much time are you going to put in and go into a salon and work for free whilst doing your other job? And you may only do it part-time, but within exchange, what are you looking for in exchange? You're looking for education, a belief to become part of the team, to really fit in. We're looking for somebody that wants to progress their own skill and give their time up for free. Not only to learn, but to kind of like to help out from the ground up. You've got to learn from the ground up. Just because you're older doesn't mean you can just jump past the 2 years education that you need to kind of take to become a hairdresser. And it is only 2 years, right? 2 years can go so fast. Okay, so now I'll pull that there. Okay, now I'm going to switch to my smaller comb. So I'm just kind of like tilting that off. Now I'm going to switch from that comb. Actually, no, I'm going to switch. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to find my big comb. That's it. It's down here. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to switch combs. So now I want to go into a bit of detail. Yeah, so now I'm going to comb that back. Hold that there. I'm going to trim that up and I'm going to cause that line. So there's my guard. You know, I'm not going to go shorter than that guard. See it there? And then I'm going to touch that in. Now the difference between a hairdresser and a barber isn't much, except for one does one and one thing only. And generally they only service men. You know, I don't see a problem with a female going in. I do have some female clients that used to go to barbers. They come to me now. And plus then there's a difference in cost, speed, service. So now, hold your ear down, sir, or I'll cut it off. There we go. I remember, you know, are we going to be doing children in the salon? Because, you know, we've got this pandemic coming on. What's your view on having children in the salon? Some salons have said no, they're not doing children because obviously they can't keep them still. So what I'm doing here is I'm really guiding myself. I'm holding it with two hands. I don't go in with one hand. You know, I go in with two hands. I just kind of like that little bit more steadiness. There we go. Look at that shape. And then, you know, I've just working that down like that. That looks nice. Now at the front of the haircut, just around this side, we will get this little bit of length here. I pull this forward like this, and I give it my shape there. I'll get more of that off later, but you can see that's really quite nice. Now I'll just touch that in, just dip that in. Like that, that's looking lovely. Get the beard. Just trim that down. I'm not really going to concentrate too much on the beard for you. It's mainly the haircut that you're watching for. But that's looking nicer already. It's a nicer shape. I'll do the same again on the other side. There we go. Do the same on the other side. Just tilt that over. And you can watch from a different angle now. Okay. Keep the hair nice. Get that clip out of the way. You don't want to leave clips in the hair too long. Okay. Now, still. Right, so comb this back. Comb it back to a line. And just use that. The clipper will just guillotine hair like you wouldn't believe. It's the easiest way to get rid of the most amount of hair. Nice and quick. You know, these blades are running, you know, per second. I don't know how many movements per second, but if you imagine it's like a scissor over comb, the blades are just running and running and running really quick. Okay, so then we're going to pull the hair forward at the front and put a little sculpt in there, then touch it in. I mean, this is a longer man's haircut. Elevate this hair and just get a little bit more graduation going on there. You see, you do a reverse graduation, you could pull it up and it overextends. And then around here, you see I've angled this in, so it's not in flat like this. It's almost just like angling that up and just using that as a pencil line. So I use the tip of that and I just pencil it off. like that, just like I'm drawing a pencil line. Hold your ear forward. Hold your ear. He's not listening to me. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, tonight, guys, you've got a treat for you. My friend from the How Cut It community is launching with my good friend Daniel Thomas a brand new show called The Hair Show. I really want you guys to get involved. Tell him I sent you. Tell him I sent you. That would be nice. And The Hair Show is just, just a nice little talk about the industry and what's going on with it. It's a good place to learn and ask questions. Learn and ask questions. Now here, I don't like, if you're shaving the neck, I shave up and underneath. Up and underneath, yeah. Up and underneath, up and underneath. Like this, yeah. I don't like too much of a straight line. Obviously, these guys are born with straight lines already. Now, here's the trick, guys. Here's the big trick for you. Now we're going to scissor over comb. First of all, we're going to go in with the longer comb, the bigger, wider teeth. Why? Because it allows the hair to really kind of breathe a little bit better. Okay, so I get in here and I start low again. So I've done my clip around the edges. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to elevate that hair. So I push the hair up with the scissor and I start there. And then I open and close the blade, just running across that. And I open and close it, but I'm always in rhythm. Yeah, so in, underneath. Remember the shape we're going to try and do. And then come out, scoop out. Then we come up our angle here. And what you're going to find yourself doing there is just kind of breaking away that corner around the bottom, giving it more of a triangle finish. Look at this. Look. Done. Then we come around to the side and follow the shape of the haircut that you want. Okay, so we'll come in there, comb that out. And the reason I'm using the wide tooth comb is because it lets the hair run a bit more freer. And then you can really just run over it a couple of times. Run over it a couple of times like this. Yeah. Remove that weight if you don't like the weight there. Keep going round. Now get to the back of your shape. This is, not many people see the back of their head. The only time they see it is when you show them it, right? You're like, how's that for you, sir? That's the only time anyone's ever going to see the back of their head. I mean, I do know some guys that grab 2 mirrors. My old housemate used to get 2 mirrors. And you have one here styling out the back of his head, but mainly, so, it's the back of your head. Okay, so then we're going to come up low. Yeah, we've removed the excess already. Come up low and then work your way up. Work your way up. Yeah, remove any excess weight. Like, so working in nice and low, shorter to longer. But notice how steady I am and opening the blade nice and close. But I only use the top blade. When I scissor over comb, you see how that straight, that stays. See how straight that stays. Only use the top like that, bam, guillotines the hair off. If you open and close like this, you're going to get lines in the hair. And you've got to stay fluid as well. So you've got to come up. There you go. Now I'm going to move back into this side. Yeah, so guys, I feel we are a bit of a community here because I hear that, Dan Thomas just told me that you're sharing ideas whilst watching. I love that. Thank you. That's exactly what I want. I want to create a community here. And you ask each other. There's no judgment here. There's no wrong question. Ask what you feel. Even if it's a stupid question, this is your chance to ask somebody in the same position as you. Okay, so now I'm going to come up. And just keep working that. So I've always got my eye on the prize. Always got my eye on the prize here. Now this is, we're not using clippers. This is a hand-cut haircut. This is how I like my haircut. So you have to use scissor over comb. I learnt scissor over comb. It was the first thing I learnt. It was the first thing I got taught. Scissor over comb, because I used to cut with the clippers and I felt I was quite accurate with the clippers, but then when I learned scissor over combing, it took my hairdressing to a new level. I'm just going to point cut around the baseline, just get that little shaggy line. I don't like a line. if the hair's a little bit longer, you just want to kind of point cut. And notice how I point cut as well. I'm really guiding my scissor with my other fingers. I'm just kind of trimming that in, just really looking at that shape and trying to distill that, you know, that clumpy area. We don't want a clumpy area. Now we're going to move on to this side. And I kind of like go one way, then the other. Sometimes I do the front, sometimes I do that. Sometimes I have a chat, sometimes, you know, take my eye off the ball. But, you know, I always come in low and only do that little section. Come in low and work it out. The worst one is when you round it into the top of a haircut. You don't want to be doing that. Okay, so now I want to get rid of my overhang out of the way just for a second, because I don't want to just accidentally nip that off. Just section that away. Move the head position. Always be key with your head positioning. Like don't chance your back or anything like that. You know, just get the position that you need to work with. Now, remember, scissor in. Elevate the hair, and that will take that shorter to longer the opposite direction. Elevate the hair and cut that down. Then we'll blend the beard into the sides. And because we're using the bigger teeth, it runs through the hair a lot nicer. It's a very good comb to have, very good choice to have, especially on mannequin heads as well. A nice big fat comb. You know, even when we dress hair for shows, you know, the different tools that you have a different outcome on how it reacts to the hair. So you've got to really know your tools. Learn the tool, learn what it does. You know, some people blow dry with a bristle brush, some people don't. That to me is really nice. I've got that. Okay, so now I'm just going to freehand a few little bits. And I don't really want to kind of, I could go back in and tighten this up, but look, I'm just kind of point cutting around my edges. Just kind of get a little flow. I'm going to come around the ear. Hold your ear down, sir. Thank you. So I can get right in there. You know, I don't like it too narrow around my head. I'll do this side again. Give it a little bit of looseness. Come on, move. That's it. Take that clip out. Don't want the clip in there too long. Clips are really, really dangerous to hair and the style. Okay, so now I'm just going to come in and just refine around the edges. There we go, refine the edges. Just come in and just point cut around your edges. Really get that like little bit of detail in there. Get the beard, detail the beard a little bit, you know, just kind of pull it around that section. I'll finish the beard off at a later date. I'll show you how we do that, but it's looking quite nice. Come around the edges, point cutting. Because you're point cutting, you're never going to cut a completely direct line because you're going in and out. If you take smaller little precision cuts, you can really clean that line up. Now, what I want to do now, I'd say that was pretty much finished. It looks quite nice shape on the beard. Let's just make sure we refine that off a little bit more for you, actually. I can't leave stuff. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, if you haven't noticed that, you know. I like to make sure that everything's perfect. Come underneath, have a little look through, see what that's doing, see what that's saying. It looks nice. Quite happy with that. Bit weighty here, look, bit weighty there. So I'll pull that up. I'm just going to point. Now I'm going to teach you texturizing now, texturizing men's hair. So I'm quite happy with the way that's sitting. And we haven't had to sculpt it with the, you know, with the clippers. We haven't had to clipper it off. I like the shape. I like the shape of that. Let me just pull it in. Look, see? It's a lovely shape. Imagine me with a beard. There you go. Look at that shape. It really transformed that. Okay, now just going to take a little bit more off here. Got a little bit of fabric in there. Let's do the top lip. Let's get a bit more mouth out so he can sit, breathe at least, and not get his dinner in it. I'm not too worried about the beard, guys. I will come back and do later the importances of this haircut. There we go. Right, now we've got the top section. Okay, so the top section is quite important on the way we texturize the top section. So I'm going to put him nice and level with you. Okay, so this is very good. So again, using my wider teeth. Now, if you wanted to go down shorter and shorter and shorter, you'd smallen your comb down. So you'd go from this one, and you'd go from there to there, from there to there. You'll notice that the thickness of some combs, look at the thickness of it, gives you a different grade. So that's a grade 3, probably. Grade 3 narrows out to a 2. That's a grade 2. That's a grade 1.5. That's a grade 1 there. And you see it goes narrow to thick. Have a look at your equipment and you'll know what comb to use. And obviously I use the wide teeth comb because it flows through the hair nicer. Now, what I tend to do is I nip out the hairline. So if in doubt, I leave it out. So around recession areas or anything like that. So I'll kind of just get that in there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the scissor to point cut. So I'm going to just go and point cut away as I move. Take a section away and point cut. And this will give you the internal weight loss. You know, this is where I don't use thinning scissors. You know, so you just go through and just kind of point cut. And I do it in more of a brick fashion as well. So where I went on the other side, I then choose a different point. So if you imagine I cut there, there, and there, and then the next section I'll cut there, there, and there. So it's not like a complete hole all the way through the haircut. And we'll come back around this side. All right, so remember, disconnect the front. Take the front out like that. Yeah, take it all out. Come in and just, and then pull a section away. Pull a section away. Now through the back shape, you know, you can go in a little bit more. Get that, you know, really release that weight and you'll get a better flow of haircut. And that's how I get rid of internal weight. I kind of disconnect the crowns away just in case. So there. And then that's about right. I like that. I like the flow. I can see the texture in there. Just remove that texture. Now, before I finish, I'm really clambered up here. There we go. I'm out. I'm okay, guys. I'm okay. Right, so now what I want to do is I want to go to my comb. Big comb again. Now this time I want to kind of play around with the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it out and then I'm just going to point cut like this all the way through. Just grab a section and just kind of release that weight. Like that. Release this weight. Just midway. And then, you know, just a couple of taps in there. Just kind of get rid of it. Now, I want to move that forward. I want to get into my sides. I just want to check that overhang. See there? I'm just going to remove that a little bit more. I'm going to come through, check my sides, and just kind of get that longer hair between my fingers. And just look for any marks in the hair. Let's see if we can find one for you. There, look, you see it? And then I'll just pull that really tight. Nothing there. Pull it really tight between your fingers. Okay, move that front bit out of the way. Okay, right, and get this. You see that disconnection? Just tease that off. And you can tease it off in its dry state, but you've got to pull the hair really tight. Okay, so you've got to pull it really tight. Yeah, I'm just going to go a bit short around this ear. So notice I've moved my comb. I've changed my comb. That's looking really, really nice. Now I'm just going to texturize just around these little areas here, just waiting out, just get those little bits so it's not a complete thick line at the top. You can do it by point cutting. I'm going to show you the other texturizing technique that I like to use, or go-to technique as well, which is point cutting. So I'll hold that up. Notice that I've not used the thinning scissors. Do you know what I mean? I've not used the thinning scissors just yet. So what I'll do is I'll pull the hair up. I'll break that out, and I do that by just point cutting like this. Pull it in and just point cut. Careful not to nip your fingers on this. Point cut. Come through then your other angles. Point cut. And this will just soften out every line that you've ever got in the hair. Point cut that out. We're right near the end now, guys. Right near the end. Now, hopefully some of you guys scanned my advert. Hopefully that worked. I put a lot of time into that. My good friend Billy Clark is the designer of those adverts. I tell him what I want. He makes it happen. I'd really love to get you on my course where we spend 4 days together. Just me, you, in this room, different camera angles. We really get into, and we're doing it right before the 4th of July. Okay? So we're doing that because I want to have you salon ready. I'm going to teach you all about how to deal with COVID as well. you know, and how my coping mechanisms. If I'm going to be feeling stressed or worried, I'm going to teach you all of that and how to deal with that, how to lower your anxieties, how to be more confident with your clients in a different world. You know, it's going to be a very different world when we go back. You know, a lot of you were scared to go back. You weren't ready. You wasn't ready. And I noticed that throughout the forums that I'm in. They were like, oh, I'm not ready to go back. But hopefully by the 4th of July, we will be operational. We will be ready to go back to normal life. And we will really reflect on this time as a very adverse time, but very, like, it was okay. Now, I know people that have lost people, and we can't change things. We can't change the things that are happening to us, but we can change the way we react about them. So look, just a little bit of blow drying now to get that lovely kind of shape up there. Let's see which way he wants to fall naturally. He wants to go this way. He wants to go this way. Like, I can feel he wants to go that way. So just kind of pushing that in now. Just kind of creating my part in. And this is more blow dried backwards. You know, this is sometimes how I wear my hair backwards. But, you know, it's like sometimes I wear it just over to the side and I wear the front forward like this. Depending on my mood. But I don't really change my hair. I've kind of found my style. I've worked my style. Just going to switch to a rounder brush. Just to get a little bit more roundness. You can use the straighteners if it's, you know, if you've got like really straight hair. So I'm just going to go in with that. Just roll that out, look. Roll it, roll it, roll it, follow it with the brush. Roll it, roll it, roll it, follow it with the brush. Roll it. Ready? Roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it. And just give it a nice little brush through. That's looking really, really nice. I'm quite happy with that. Really happy with that. Are you happy with that, guys? Are you kind of feeling it? You're feeling my haircut? You're feeling the look? You're feeling the love? You're not feeling the beard, I know that. Let me just check this beard. So I don't want it to look rubbish on camera. When I finished, you know, doing the final presentation, I'll give you a little run through of what we did, how we got there. I don't want it to be too rubbish. You know, take pride in everything you do, guys. That's a choice. You can take pride in everything you do. If you're having a shit day, take pride in something. It will change your outcome of the day. So there we go. That's the finished haircut. I'm happy with that. He's happy with that. I'm going to charge you £65 instead of your £15 barber haircut. Do you get me? You spent a longer time as a hairdresser with your client. You've given them a nice cup of coffee, a nice head massage. You've been really got into them. Men love coming to hairdressers. Yeah, men. Boys like going to barbers. But I've got nothing against barbers. Now I'm going to use a nice little product here. This is one of my magic pots from the Session Label series, which I endorsed by Schwarzkopf. Now, what I'm going to show you here is how we do this. I'm covered in black hair. I get a nice little fingertip of this. Fingertip of product. That's how much product I use. But the way I distribute the product is very differently. So I put it in my hands like this, and then I work it, and I get a nice little bit all the way through my fingers. Okay, so it goes in my fingers. I rake it down. It's going to dry out. Then I push it down, and I just rake it through the hair. So just rake it through like this. Look, rake it. Just use your fingers like that, like a comb. Like rake it out. Look at that. Rake that out. Rake it out. Sit that back. I might take that bit off later. I think that's a bit overhangy there. It's a bit too overhangy, but we'll sit it into the haircut for now. You only sometimes know when you come to styling haircuts. See this side, look, that overhang's nicer, and then you can really kind of like just start pushing it in, combing that in, comb that hair in. You know, get your hands right in there now. You can start pushing it around, and you know you want a product that's quite flexible, like that. That's quite nice. Then we're going to flatten down, not put too much product on the sides of the beard. Just give him a nice little tidy up, touch his eyebrows in a bit like that. You know, get their senses aware. So let's have a look at that. That's looking quite good. You can see that's, you know, that's quite a nice gentleman's haircut. That's the sort of thing that, you know, I like doing in the salon. If you wanted to kind of comb some bits down, that's fine. But then if you get your hairspray, you know, kind of push the hair into the style that you want it to sit. Okay, so we're going to sit that there. I'm going to have a little pre-visualize come around the front of him. Get rid of all that. I'm going to push that, just pop that in, look. Just set that parting in. If you want to set that parting in, lift that bit up, push that bit back. Just have a look, you know, how you're feeling about that haircut, how you're feeling about the style. You know, just push the fringe down, spray it in, push it in, spray it in. There we go. That's going nowhere. He's going to feel fresh. He's going to feel stinging. He's ready to attack the world. Do you know what? How much confidence you can give with a man's haircut, how much confidence you can give with any haircut. There we go. There's the finished article, guys. There it is. So look at that. Yeah, that's one nice, quick technique, nice technique. Look at that shape. You see the shape, got the squareness in there, still got the flatness. Nice and graduated, not clippered, scissor over comb, hand cut this haircut. £60 you're going to charge for this. They're going to love the experience as well. There you go, guys. I hope you like it. You know, that's how I do short hair on men. I'm going to take him out of the way for a second. I will bring him back in later. Now, I want to sign off quickly, but I don't go anywhere because I'm coming back. But I would love to say thank you so much. Remember to choose and really choose. You know, I invite you to make the most important decision, and that is to live in a beautiful state. Concentrate on it, research it, listen to the right people. Whatever makes you tick, you do that. But you know, you want to be joyful, you want peaceful, kindness, happy. You want to be curious. You want to be passionate. Do all these things and you will have a better life. Remember that. And you will project this onto your clients and that will build your client profile. Love your job. Really love your job and you'll never work a day in your life. I promise you that. When you walk into that salon, you can't wait for the next client. After your last client, you'd want to do more. How lovely would that be to get excited at? Imagine the stories that you're going to tell them. Imagine the things that you told them. What did you do on lockdown? I chose to be in a beautiful state. Like, share. Love you guys.